Okay, so this is going to be a sort of in-field review. I'm not outside, deal with it. I am processing down an emergency supply of firewood. So I don't heat with wood, but I use it as a backup heat source for power outages and stuff like that. And to save money, what I do is on the job, when we're taking down trees and whatnot, I try and have my guys cut them in 6 to 8 foot lengths. And then every couple of weeks I'll just throw the best ones into a pickup, bring them over to my house, and drop them off. I'm not trying to fool anybody. I do live in the city. It's a little off the beaten trail, but it's the city. So I'm not living out in the woods or whatever. Fantasy, Eventually, hopefully, I will. But as of now, I live in the city, but I'm kind of still a country boy at heart. So I don't know where I'm going to throw the footage in, but this stack of logs, this isn't all of it, but a large portion of it, I'm just taking a break. Because no matter what type of handsaw, no matter how fast it cuts, after a while you're going to tire yourself out. Okay? And it's better just to take breaks, because if you're super tired and you're trying to saw, you're just asking for trouble. You're either going to bend or break your saw, you're going to cut yourself and all that stuff. So, okay, so I've done videos like this in the past, and a lot of people don't like them because I kind of like piss on their hopes and dreams and dispel some myths. So, this is going to be a review on the Silky Gomboy 240, I believe, and the Silky Bigboy 360. Before I get started, a lot of people like the Bahco Laplander, and personally, it's an alright saw. On Amazon, I think $20 or even less, 17 to $20, inexpensive. They hold up pretty well. They have a comfortable handle. The design of them, how they're kind of curved, makes it just a little more ergonomic. This saw, I want to say has like a 7.5 inch blade. So it has a 7 inch blade, but the back half to 3/4 of an inch you can't use, or otherwise it'll just keep hitting your handle. So you're talking about a 6.5 to 7 inch blade. It cuts on the push and pull. I don't know how many TPI this has, teeth per inch. Maybe 8 TPI. So it's a medium tooth saw. Cuts on the pull and the push. Because of that, it needs a thicker blade because think of like a cable suspension bridge. When steel is under tension, it's super strong, but when it's under compression, it kinks. So that you need to beef the steel up, or otherwise the blade will bend. That's where silkies come in. Silkies cut on only the pull, and people are like, "Oh, so they cut at half the speed?" No, their blades are. I don't have a micrometer, but the blades are about half the width. But because it's pulling on the pull, just like a steel suspension bridge, like if you take some steel cable, you can stretch it super tight like aircraft cable. Um, thin diameter aircraft cable has like thousands of pounds of tensile strength, but doesn't have any compressive strength. It coils on itself and kinks. The same with like rope, like paracord, stuff like that. Paracord, when you're pulling, it has 550-pound breaking strength. When you push two ends of paracord together, it doesn't have any strength. So, because this only pulls on the pull stroke, the blade is really thin. And people are like, "Oh, that means it's weaker." No, it means it's more efficient. Because think of a chainsaw. I'm not going to pull mine down right now, but think of a chainsaw. The kerf on those are about a half inch. So it's removing a half inch of wood each time. These are like 1/32 of an inch or something, super thin, which means you're removing an eighth amount of the wood or something like that. So I like to joke with people because I use these on the job. We use these all the time, and a lot of customers, they're like, we use chainsaws too, but a lot of customers are like, "Oh, I'm surprised. It seems like you pull out a chainsaw or whatever. We use a chainsaw for a lot of stuff, probably a lot of stuff you're not supposed to use it for. But for quick jobs and like stuff like that, a lot of people use bow saws, which I'm not going to pull down either, but I have a couple hanging on the wall. The problem with those is it's hard to get to do certain pruning cuts. You can't get in tight, and they're really bulky. So if you're trying to, prune some branches out without touching the other ones, bow saws suck. That's where these come in. I like to joke with customers and tell them that these Silky saws cut as quickly as a dull chainsaw, and that really is the truth, because dull chainsaws, a lot of you guys probably know, dull chainsaws, you can just bear down on it, which you shouldn't do, but you can bear down on it and it starts burning the wood, and it doesn't cut whatsoever. It might after like a minute of just constant cutting. I can rip through logs with this. Of these three saws, I have the Silky Gomboy 240, the Silky Bigboy, and the Bahco Laplander. Of these three saws, which one would I recommend as a first saw, as a, hate to say it, but a bushcrafting saw, a saw to throw in a survival kit, a saw to throw in hiking, hiking, backpacking, canoeing, maybe in a hunting pack to clear shooting lanes, or just to have one around the house to cut down broken branches off trees, to prune trees, to maybe process down firewood, to just go play out in the woods and build some fires and make shelters and stuff like that. This might surprise some of you guys because you saw, this thing's just intimidating. It has a 16-inch blade, extra large teeth. So you guys probably already know which one I'm going to pick. This might surprise some of you guys. This one I carried for a long time. It's just, like I said, intimidating. For pruning, you get about an extra 2 feet of reach. So like you can cut branches like up to 10 feet high if you're about 6 foot or so. So this one, like for the house, it's good for like big processing jobs. But for all around use, I actually recommend this one. They have a 270, they have a 210, and this is a 240. This is the Silky Gomboy 240 with the large teeth, I believe. And these are extra large teeth. I like this one more for a couple of reasons. First, it's smaller. You can use it two-handed, but for one-handed use, you can only pull back so far. So your cut stroke isn't as long, but you're not pulling and pushing to extremes. And that makes sense. So as you'll see in the video, this one I'm cutting a lot quicker. My strokes are a lot faster, and that's not because I'm trying to go faster. It's because it has a shorter blade. So in essence, with each stroke I'm not cutting as much, but it's taking less energy. Like to cut even through the big stuff, this one, it looks harder and it might take a little longer, but energy-wise, it doesn't take up as much energy. Like I said, this one's awesome for around the house, if you have some property, if you don't want to invest in a chainsaw. I'm not saying go out and log with this, but for a lot of people who think they need a chainsaw and it's just minor yearly like fall cleanup, cutting broken branches and like maybe cutting down some trees, processing them down to have some campfire wood and stuff like that, this one would work. But the advantages of this one, like I said, it's easier to use in my opinion, and I've used almost the whole line of Silky saws extensively. The large teeth I like. They cut softwood and they cut hardwood. Don't follow the guide on their website. They say like use a fine and extra fine for hardwood and bamboo. Personally, I'm not cutting bamboo. It just doesn't grow in my neck of the woods. But for But for both hardwood and softwood, the large teeth work just fine. They leave a way smoother cut than your standard bow saw or even your Bahco Laplander. The large teeth leave a really smooth cut, so it's safe to use the large teeth even for pruning and stuff like that. Um, I wouldn't, if I was using a smaller saw like the Pocket Boy, I might be tempted to go with the medium teeth because they bite in quicker and you're just going to encounter less resistance. So in the future, I might show you guys the Pocket Boys I have. I have the Pocket Boy 170 and the 150. The 150 medium tooth and the 170 is either medium or large. I'm trying to remember the handle color, but uh, those ones are great too. But for just, it doesn't weigh that much more. Speaking about weight, this weighs like 6 ounces, 7 ounces. So even for you ounce counters out there, this thing's freaking light. It fits in a front or back pocket. Like I said, it's just a little bit bigger than the Pocket Boys. And you can still do detailed cuts with this, and you can also do bigger jobs with this. So I don't really even recommend the Pocket Boys unless you're talking about for a child. You know, say you want a companion saw, so when you bring your kids out camping, they have something a little smaller to process down like some smaller stuff. You know, still supervise them and whatnot. Just because the saw is smaller doesn't mean it won't cut them. Would I recommend this over like a bow saw or a takedown buck saw and stuff like that? I have some of those. I'll grab them real quick. Okay, so this is it's a takedown buck saw, so it packs down into a tube. For camping, would I recommend a Silky over a takedown buck saw? It's really hard to explain. If you're somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, it's easy to foul one of these up. So I'm not saying these are weak, but it's freaking easy to bend the blade on this. I'm just keeping it real. With a bow saw, you have the blade under tension, so it's a little harder to do that. I will say that these, in my experience, go back, I'll link some of my older testing footage, these cut faster than even a buck saw. So keep that in mind. These aren't for just like, if you cut right and you have patience, these are the way to go. If you just don't give a crap and you just want to like plow through wood, maybe start with a Bahco Laplander. They do have a thicker blade and they're more resistant to bending, and if they bend a little bit you can bend them back, but it's just not an efficient cutting saw. But the Silky Gomboy 240, I've tested almost all of them. I think this is probably the best all-around one out there. They make a 270, they make a 210, and the numbers are the length of the blade in millimeters. So they make a 150, they make a 170, maybe a 190, a 210, a 240, which is this one, a 270, a 310, I think, 340, and then the big boy is the 360, and then they make a Katana Boy. The Katana Boy, I can't recommend, but I also haven't used it. The reason why, another downside to this one, and it applies to the Katana Boy too, this is the big boy, is these blades are thin. So the Katana Boy has like a I don't even know how long, it's 650 millimeters. And once you put just the smallest bend in that blade, which is bound to happen sooner or later, the cutting efficiency of that Katana Boy goes down drastically. So I can't recommend the Katana Boy. This cuts, I'm guessing this cuts about the same. It's a little shorter, but that means there's less likelihood of bending it, or you won't bend it as soon. And this saw is cheaper, and the replacement blades are cheaper. So the Katana Boy, even though there are some great Canadian prepper, he did a great review on that, but for like long-term or extended use, I don't know how that will hold up. and it's expensive, and it's bulky and it's kind of heavy. I would just get the Big Boy instead. But like I said, the problem you run into with this one, it hasn't developed one yet. But the longer the blade is, the more, because all the saws have the same width blade. So the shorter ones, the Pocket Boys, are actually a little more durable because they have less flex in them. These, it's really easy to buckle and just permanently foul up this blade. We have a couple of these at work, and two of them, the guys didn't know what they were doing, and they screwed them up. So yeah, this is the one I recommend. The last advantage, it's a straight. It's not curved inward like the Big Boy, so it won't cut as quick. But for doing other stuff besides cross cutting, like doing notches and stuff, this straight blade to me works a little better. The one I don't have to compare with these anymore is the Corona Saber Cut saw. Don't get me started on that saw. It's $20. It's the same price as a Bahco. It's the same price as a Bahco, but I've had two of them, and it's a pull-only cut saw. I found the steel on those is not as hard as these, so those blades dull a lot quicker. You're better off spending $5 to $10 more and just getting a Silky. One of the Corona Saber Cuts, I don't remember what I was doing, but it was in the winter, which everyone still uses saw in the winter, and that handle, I don't even remember how it happened, but I picked it up and the handle had broke, which like you could duct tape the handle, I guess, if you had to, but then you couldn't fold the blade up. And these are steel reinforced handles with rubber overmold. The Coronas, yeah, they're $20. Give one a try, but they're not durable. The handle isn't durable, and the blade steel is softer, so they dull really quick. And the problem with these two is they're hard to resharpen. You're just better off buying replacement blades. But yeah, the steel on those is really soft. So I've had two of them, and then we have a couple at work. And the first one broke, and the second one, I think I gave away to somebody. I wasn't, even though I didn't like it, I kind of felt bad giving it to him. But, I just like these more, and it was just taking it broom and clutter and stuff like that. So I gave it away. I'm sure they're happy with it. But real quick, I want to dispel the myth that people have about Silky saws and the blades breaking. Have Silky saw blades broke and permanently bent so you can't use them? They have. Have X, Y, and Z broke before and you have to buy a new one? Yeah. I've had splitting axes, I've had splitting balls, I've had axes, I've had shovels. Like, I break the handle on shovels all the time. With enough use, everything is going to break. Some, yeah, it's easier to repair. This is my second or third Bahco. I've broken a couple of these. Big whoop, they're $17. So it's funny because it's kind of one-sided. It's the Bahco Laplander Defenders that say Silky saw blades, they're breaking everything. This is my second or third Bahco. The other ones, the blades have either worn down to nothing, or the blades have bent, so like they always stick in the curve, or they just get all loose, or the handle, this is all plastic, the handle is broken on one before. So yeah, Silky saws with poor use and with improper use, yeah, they're going to break. The same with Bahcos. I keep wanting to say Bahco. The same with Bahcos. You give this and you give a Silky both to two dummies, and they'll probably both break both of them. Okay, that's just the fact of the matter. So I want to dispel that myth that like the Silky saws are so weak and the Bahco is super durable over here. It's not even quantifiable. Like, is this a hair more durable? Okay, so what? Say it is. Say this is a little more durable. the Silky's cut like 4-6 times as fast. I'll have to go back and watch my old videos, but I've done time tests, and these things cut so freaking slow. So, you know, with the same amount of use, this might last a little longer, but you're going to be using this 6 times as much. That's my logic. Take it for what it is. It's based on, I don't know, 8 years of experience. So I hope you like this review. I know it went a little long. Sorry I'm not outside. You know, sorry haters, give this video a thumbs down. I don't care. But this was a review of the Silky Gomboy and the Silky Bigboy, but mostly the Silky Gomboy 240. This is my #1 top pick silky saw and just folding saw in general. If you like this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Leave a comment below with your opinions. And if you haven't already, go back to my homepage, watch some of my recent videos. If you like what you see, feel free to subscribe me. If you don't like my videos, don't subscribe to me.